Here we are live in Los Angeles, California, celebrating the book release for Kids Journal Through COVID-19, United Kids Speak. I am here with publisher Laval Bell, publisher of Noah's Ark Publishing, and he has authored, along with 50 other young children, the book entitled, again, Kids Journal Through COVID-19, United Kids Speak. And so I have a few questions I want to put to Mr. Bell today. First of all, I want to say hi and thank you for this opportunity to interview you regarding this wonderful project. And wanted to know what inspired you to create this really ambitious project.
Well, Sharon, as you know, we are living in a very unique space in our lives. And I'm sure if the kids, or let me say if the parents and adults are having a hard time with our lives being interrupted by something that's as unique as COVID-19, then I imagine the kids are being quite confused. Can you imagine when we were growing up and we went to school and they said you got to go home because there's a disease out that will kill you. You got to wash your hands, and if you don't have some distancing, and then you go home and you're still at home. A lot of kids have gone home from school, from activities, and it's got to be quite confusing for them. So I thought, why not give them a platform to express themselves on that youth level?
Yeah, that comes really as no surprise because you have had involvements with young people over the years in various different types of projects. So this comes as no surprise, and it is quite suitable. And you're right, kids need a way to express themselves during this historic pandemic, as we've called it. How did you locate 50 youth to write for this?
I'm still going to like
50 young people from across the United States, and you didn't know, you had no clue how you were going to reach out to them. How did that come about?
Well, actually, it's like 57 kids we got.
Wow, 57.
So we duplicated a couple of kids in California. Mm-hmm. And we also got a youth from Washington, D.C. and from Puerto Rico. Mm. And of course, the book is in English and Spanish as well.
That's
so
great.
What we did was we put out information for kids to submit an essay. Mm-hmm. And so we chose, we got support from schools, churches, libraries, Boys and Girls Club. Some of the kids that have contributed to the writing process are from Boys and Girls Clubs, even Boys and Girls Clubs in North and South Dakota they have Boys and Girls Clubs on Indian reservations. Mm-hmm. So they submitted their essays. I identified team leaders. I put together a team leader in every state in our union. And then I allowed that team leader to put together a team because they would be more familiar with their community than I would. And so about 52 team leaders put the word out for kids between the ages of 7 and 13 mm-hmm. to submit their essays. And I allowed the team leaders to pick the essays because, they live in that community. And once we got past that process, we got about 50 or 60 essays. And we submitted them, we put them in the book and made it a kids' anthology.
Yeah. What was the enthusiasm like? How did they receive this when they heard about it? Because nothing like this has been done.
It was kind of slow. Of course, the parents were real excited because, they kind of got it. But it's just very interesting. I think for me, it was very interesting watching the different types of people. I mean, you got a kid from Omaha, Nebraska, then a kid from Alaska, then a kid from like North and South Dakota, and then a youth from like, Florida. So it's the parents, the team leaders, the dynamic is I learned a lot. The most amazing thing for me was the parents and the kids. We had like a Zoom meet and greet because I didn't know the kids, right? Mm-hmm. So we had a Zoom meet and greet with the actual participating writers. And so, we're collaborating authors now.
So there's a community of authors now with this project. They've gotten to know each other and...
Well, yeah, we do a meet and greet on Zoom. Yeah. Virtual meet and greet, and they were so excited. But the parents and the kids kept saying, thank you so much for giving us a voice.
Of course, yes. Is there, out of all of these kids, the 57 that you got to meet and read their essays, is there one story in particular that stands out to you?
There are a couple of them. Certainly the first essay from the youth in Washington, D.C., I was so taken by how she articulated her story. I think she said her grandmother could not return home to Africa. And she was more concerned about her mom than she was herself.
Okay.
And it was so well written that I called her myself, called her parent to ask, did she really write this? Because it seemed so profound, which is indicative of why I put the project together. When kids start talking, even at a young age, you'll be surprised what they say. I think she was one, and then another writer in Massachusetts. When we got her essay was in like an interview form, like someone was interviewing the youth. And so when I read that, I wondered, someone showed it to me. I'm like, well, why did they have this in this interview, presentation? So when I called the mom, she said when her daughter was born, she only weighed, I think, 1.5 pounds.
My goodness.
And they said her daughter would never read, see, or cry. They said she'd never be able to cry. So what are the chances of us finding that writer? I mean, out of all the writers in Massachusetts that we chose that writer, it was pretty amazing. So those two, among that one, was pretty, not to even mention some of their circumstances, their living circumstances were very, very challenging. And you would have never known that by how supportive she was. She was willing to go and promote the book in the Massachusetts area. She never complained. She never had a victim mentality.
Going back to the young lady that you said was more concerned about her mother, what was this particular circumstance?
Well, she was concerned that her mom had to go out and work every day. Work, just leave the house. She could get sick. Her mom had to pay the bills. I mean, so the daughter had more of a empathy for her own parents.
Right. And this was more towards the beginning of the crisis.
And she was our first essayist.
She was your first essayist?
Yes.
Wow. That's beautiful. Okay. Is there a common thread or theme that's shared with the writers? Is there one thing that you find that they all kind of gravitate to in expressing their stories?
Yeah. All of the writers, they spoke about how they missed their friends and how they hoped that it would end. But they all spoke about just being away from their friends and having to be home. Of course, they talked about being stuck home with their parents. But all the writers spoke about they just hope it'll be over. That if there was one consistent thread, they all said that, I hope that it'll be over.
Right. Can you imagine being a child? A child likes to get out, run, play, talk to their friends. They have their own little community at school. They get to socialize with each other, and now they don't have anyone. But I think they have found a way, although it doesn't replace it.
Right.
With Zoom.
Right.
Why did you choose the age between 7 and 13 years old?
I gave it a lot of thought, and I think I wanted to kind of get kids in primary, middle school, and a piece of high school. So if they're 13, they're kind of going, and some of them are 13, turning 14. So I want to get the small children because, they have some expressions. And then certainly the middle kids between 6th and 8th grade in a piece of high school. So I thought 7 and 8, 7 between 13. And the audience for the book, the target audience is 5 to 19.
Okay. And again, you alluded to that at the beginning of this interview, that you wanted to give young people the opportunity to express themselves, because if we as adults are going through some feelings, extreme feelings about what's going on, because people have lost loved ones, they've lost, parents, siblings, how do you work through that? And artistically, being able to write about it is a way to get it up and out of you. It is therapeutic.
And then, kids talking to kids. I mean, kids can inspire kids in their own language with their own spirits.
Very good. Yeah. How has this project affected you personally?
I think it impacted me when I listened to the parents, and they're so grateful. They continue to say, and the kids, like, we really appreciate you giving our kids a voice. And then some of the kids of color, it was expressed to me that sometimes they're overlooked in various challenged communities. I think that impacted me the most. This is their Holocaust. This is their World War II. This is their 9/11. I mean, imagine you've got kids who graduate for the first time from school virtually, and what they have in common is every child around the world, it's their first time graduating also. It's one thing to be impacted like World War I when they dropped the atom bomb, or World War II, one of those. They dropped the bomb on Japan, or the pandemic, I guess 100 years ago. But the entire planet, I mean, when the kids told me that I went to school, that's the one that sticks in my head. I went to church, but we can't go to church anymore. I went to school and we came home, and it's one thing to tell a child that's 7, 8, 9, 10 years old that you're going to be home for a month or for the summertime, but to say you're not going back to school because there's a boogeyman out there called COVID-19 or a pandemic, and you're seeing the news, and your mom's at home, and your dad's at home, or whatever the case might be, and they're passing out food. Sharon, that's got to be devastating. And remember, some of the parents who can't work, unemployed, and then the kids have to go to school where they went to school to learn. A lot of the schools are passing out food and clothing. So yeah, it's. I want to document this moment in history. This will be a piece that people will refer to 100 years from now. Yeah. And the kids will be able to say that 10 years from now, the kids will be able to say where they were, but they'll be able to go read about it.
Very, very true. A lot of books also have audio format. Is this book also being presented as an audiobook?
Oh, absolutely. This book will be available on Audible. Remember, it's in Audible, Kindle, it's in English and Spanish. I mean, so I've got, the book is literally in Spanish. I got Spanish-speaking kids reading the audiobook. And then I have, of course, youth reading the English book. So yeah, and having the kids read the book, I have other youth from around the country doing the audiobook. It just gave me an opportunity to give more children a chance to express themselves, because my goal was to get as many youth as possible.
Profound. Well, what do you hope this project accomplishes for anyone that reads it? Because not only are kids going to be reading the book, their parents are going to be reading it as well. What do you want them to gain from the experience?
I want them first to know that they can express themselves and that they don't have to go in a corner and kind of fold up, that it's going to be all right. We have more time on the other side of the pandemic than we do in the pandemic. But my goal is really to, probably 1, 2, and 3, 1, to give kids a chance really to express themselves, because that's really important. And the first story in Kids Journal through COVID-19 is Gianna Pink Floyd.
Okay.
Daughter of George Floyd.
Yes.
And when we reached out to her, we said, well, if you just want to write, she had that proclamation, "My daddy changed the world," during COVID-19. But my understanding was she wanted to write more, and she wrote her own words.
That's beautiful.
She's the first story in the book.
Oh my goodness.
And she's 7 years old. And so you don't think so? That's a double documentation of history, that she's documenting her father. She's documenting that she's writing about her experience during COVID-19. I really think that we don't understand the emotional impact, the psychological impact that could have an effect on our kids. So this gives them a chance to express themselves. Secondly, I just want to document this moment. It's got to be documented. I mean, even if you think about the Bible, the Bible is a collaboration of authors writing about an extraordinary times throughout the history of the world, how they were inspired divinely. And that's what it is, and that's what we're doing. But in this case, it's just children. The apostles are the children.
Yes, the teachers,
The prophets
the leaders.
are the children.
That's right.
Yeah.
And they will be able to teach the generations following them when they come to this place in their lives as adults.
Exactly.
Yes, because they will have had firsthand experience and knowledge about it.
Yeah, can you imagine 10 years from now, a 7-year-old reading this, they'll be 17? And our world will never be the same. So I hope that parents everywhere around the world embrace the book, buy the book, have it as a reference point, as a history of inspiration and documentation. That's my goal. Documentation is my driving point,
Okay.
a reference point for kids.
That's beautiful. Well, thank you so much for this tremendous gift. This is a gift, and this will go down, as you say, in history. This is chronicled in history. The book, again, is Kids Journal Through COVID-19, United Kids Speak. It is available now, correct?
It's available now on Amazon.com. Kids Journal Through COVID-19, United Kids Speak, and it's available on Kindle and soon Audible. And they can reach out to my website, NoahsArkPublishing.com, NoahsArkPublishing.com.
NoahsArkPublishing.com. Okay, don't forget Amazon.com, Audible. On the website, NoahsArkPublishing.com. The book is available right now for you to order. I look forward to digging into this book. I've read one or two of the essays myself and was very touched. Not just impressed by the writing. The writing is excellent, by the way, but my heart was touched as well by the expressions coming from the hearts of these young people. So I want to invite you to go get your book, get it today. And thank you so much for this opportunity to interview you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. And share this with your friends on all your social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat. Is that still available? Please feel free to share it on all your social media outlets. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, I'm Brandon Stennis, and today I'm joined with King Peoples and Gerber Rodriguez. Now, I just want to ask you guys, how does it feel to be part of such a big and historic project?
It feels unbelievable. I've never experienced anything like this.
For me, it's just a one-of-a-kind experience, and you could do it again, but there's like one recording. It's once in a lifetime.
Once in a lifetime, yeah. I just want to ask, is this your first time writing books for both of you guys?
It is my first time writing books, but I usually write essays for school.
If you count this, this is my first time.
Awesome. I've never wrote a book, but it does sound kind of fun, so yeah. Did you guys find this topic easy or hard to write about?
I found the topic a little hard because I had to think back of what people couldn't do during COVID-19.
My part was actually a school assignment, so it was kind of easy to do, kind of hard. I had my mom help me out. In the beginning, I had to put similes, metaphors, and all that. So
what do you guys hope other young people will learn when they read your story?
Well, I hope other young people will learn from my story is that COVID-19 isn't a joke. And it can get you really sick.
Very serious.
Well, I hope that, they embrace the idea that COVID-19 was a real thing, a real hard thing to live through, and the point of my story was to have a joke about it, but not in a serious way, but try to make things fun especially in this time.
Got it. And if you guys have one wish regarding coronavirus, what would it be?
Well, I wish that there would be a vaccine so it could go back to regular life and start doing things we wish we could do.
And I just hope all of this passes and we could forget about it.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you guys so much. And their book is available right now on Amazon.com and Kindle, so go make sure to pre-order that, and I'll see you guys later.